the fear of God in Abraham was attached to his promises, was attached to the covenant he had with God. And by that same covenant, Isaac and Jacob and all the sons and daughters of Israel live by that same covenant. When Joseph said, I fear God, it was by that same covenant. When Daniel said, I refuse to defile myself with a king's meat, it was still by that covenant. Is somebody talking here? They didn't just wake up and fear God. They fear God by the reason that there is a covenant behind it. That our father Abraham feared God and God lifted him. And God said, Genesis 22, because you have done this. What? By giving your son. Why did he give his son? Because he feared God. How? Because I reverence him. I love him. I honor him. He can do anything. Is somebody talking here? So it can fuel you, can give you energy. The fear of God can supply you fuel to energize your life. When you lack the fear of God, it is not possible to finish your race. It is not possible to accomplish goals well. But the fear of God gives you strength. It energizes you. It empowers you. We already saw it that the fear of God is the beginning of wisdom, right? The fear of God is a spiritual fuel. The fear of God fuels your life. It fuels you to energize you. So many people do not know what the fear of God can do. The fear of God cannot put you to shame. It caused men to celebrate you at last. But at the beginning, they despise you. But at the end of the game, you are the one to be celebrated. The fear of God. When we say fear God, not just say you see God, your heart the beat quicky. No, that is not what we are talking about. We are trying to say reference him, honor him, love him. Do exactly what he asks you to do. Don't add to it and don't remove from it. Just fear him. To fear God is to love God. How do you love God? You love your fellow neighbor. Like Jesus said, love your neighbor as yourself. Then you fear God. The Bible says if you say you hate your brother and you love Jesus, you say you are a liar. So first of all, how do you practicalize this fear? Is to love your neighbor first. Love your brother, love your sister. Then you cannot love God. That is the fear of God. So it's so important for we to live by the fear. It's so important for you to be guided with the fear of God. When you are working in your working place or in your office or as a CEO, how do you do your business? Do you do it in line with the fear of God? It is clearly written. He said, whatsoever you want men to do to you, he said, do the same to me. Our father, Dr. Paul, said, life is a seed. It's a seed. What you sow today is what you reap tomorrow. So when you fear God, you know how to sow good seed like Abraham did. Look at Lot. He couldn't go for good seed, and look at how he ended his life. The lack of the fear of God in the life of Lot ended him early in life. Abraham said, the place is wide. It's big. Take for yourself anywhere. The Bible said he chose the best part. The Bible said after Lot departed from Abraham, and God said, Abraham, lift up your eyes. Tell me what you see. If you can count the stars and count the dust of the earth, then you can count your children. So shall your seed be. And all this country will I give unto you. What produces that? The fear. Somebody say the fear. Your blessing does not really come through prayers. Your blessing comes through the fear of God. The fear of God determines the kind of prayer you pray. I've seen a woman came here one day. He said, Pastor, please, I want you to pray for my second son. I said, what about your first son? He said, don't mind that one. Don't mind that one. That is a woman who gave birth to children. And he told me that he wants his second son to be blessed and abandon and despise the first. So if a woman can do that to his own son, how much more what will your neighbor do to you because of the lack of the fear? A woman came here and said, Pastor, I want you to pray for God to deal with so people, to block their womb, never to be well with them. Am I a native doctor? People bear witnesses. Some choir were present here that day. Can you still remember that? Is somebody talking here? I want you to pray for them. I am not a native doctor. There are pastors who does that. Just kneel down on this altar. I pray your neighbor will never have the fruit of the womb. You will have it first. It's a curse. Such things cannot be done under the will of God, which is the fear of God. People act according to their mind, according to understanding. But when you have the fear of God, the Bible says he gives you a better understanding. The fear of God is also a preserver. He preserves lives. Like we saw in the life of Joseph last week. He said, because I fear God, I won't punish you, but I will help you. The fear of God will help you not to pay evil for evil. The fear of God is a defender. You just fear God. Let your enemy fight you. They will hit themselves on the rock. Let's see the book of Proverbs chapter 1 verse 7. Proverbs chapter 1. He said, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. I've never seen a man that is on a journey and they will not fuel his car. What will you call a man that wants to travel from here to Calabar and he fuel his car with 2,000? Is he a wise man or a fool? So also to Christians who embark on this journey and have no fear of God, that person is also qualified to be what? A fool. Is somebody talking here? If you are to travel from here to Calabar, then you must be ready to fill your tank. Then meaning you are wise. It takes the fear of God to be packed up with knowledge. He said, they that know their God, they shall be strong. I told you last time that the fear of God is the package for wisdom. So inside the fear we have wisdom, which is the content in the container. You can't fear God and lack wisdom. So if you desire wisdom, the first thing you do is to fear him. Is to fear God. Hear this. When you fear God, you will know how to submit to men. You will know how to run your race according to God's will. For this is my confidence in him. Whatsoever I ask or desire according to his will, he heareth me. This is God's will. The fear of God is the beginning of what? Knowledge. But fools despise what? Wisdom. Meaning that fools despise the fear. So you can put it better. Fools despise the Lord. Fools despise God. Because the fear of God is the key to wisdom. The fear of God can also be seen as the key to wisdom. If our government will fear God, this country will be good. If our chairmen, councillors, and leaders of the land can fear God, the land can be good. It is the lack of the fear of God in man that makes man to misbehave.